What we're going to talk about is what should we do next, okay? Because I'm sure you guys are probably tired of these nares, yeah, and the rallies. You know, like we go to rallies every year. I don't know if you have them here. We have them in England. Everybody gets together. They go down to central London. They march from one part of London to the other part of London. They do Punjabi speaks at this first part, and they do Punjabi speech at the second part, and then they go home, and they feel like they've achieved something. Yeah? Does that sound familiar to you guys in Toronto, in Canada as well, yeah? Okay. And I'm sure you're frustrated as well, like considering what you went through yesterday. It's quite harsh, like what our Panth has gone through in the last sort of 30 years. Or maybe not just 30 years, since 84, before that as well. You know, since 1947 to 25. And the context of all of this inequality that's happening now in Punjab. And alongside the stuff happening in Punjab, we've got our current situation here, whether it's in the West, whether it's in England or Canada. Yeah? What I want you to do is throw me problems that we are having at the Panth. So just throw me things that you feel, I think there's a problem in our Panth.
Lack of unity.
Okay, lack of unity. Thank you very much. Very good point.
Drug addiction.
Drug addiction. Okay, so we got that in Punjab. Do we have that here as well? Yeah, Canada, I'm sure. In England as well, everybody's bunning up and getting high. And then it goes further from that. Okay. Hanji.
Lack of transparency with Gurdwaras.
Okay. So Gurdwaras are not transparent to the youth in terms of what the finance is? Okay, yeah. Does your Gurdwara publish these accounts? Hanji?
Male-focused leadership.
Male-focused leadership.
Throughout.
Right on, brother. So, okay, good. So we've got a kind of patriarchal system at the moment, yeah? Even if we say it's not on paper, in our Bani, it's still in effect there, right? Okay? Okay, we're talking about problems that our Panth is facing right now. So asking you to throw up problems and then we'll try and discuss them. Okay? So you guys have got something to add, I'm sure. Passionate about the Panth. What do we feel is the problem? Hanji?
So corrupted Gurdwara committee members and the way it's
Corruption
and the way it's structured at the moment.
Okay, so the structure of Gurdwara committees and the corruption that also takes place in Gurdwara committees. Okay, so financial corruption. Financial corruption or political corruption? Or both? Both, okay. Panj Pyare, I'm looking at you. What's the problem? Is that it? That's the extent of your problems? Hanji? No.
So like, people focus less on like keeping their head for, doing your own body, and they're more about just looking like as they're from the outside.
Okay, so there's over focus on the outside of a Sikh, yeah, the Sarup, and not enough on the actual part and Bani and Simran, yeah? Okay, that's a good problem. Okay, good. Hanji?
Lack of prachar.
Lack of prachar. Okay, good. You're going for it. Hanji?
Unorganized.
We're unorganized. Yeah, big time. Hanji? Okay, lack of leadership. So when something comes up, who steps up to say something about it, Who are our leaders? Are they actually capable of being leaders, yeah? Hanji?
It's because of the image of the Panj Pyare, because we know what the Panj Pyare are, but at the moment, the only time we see Panj Pyare is like being Untitled Chapter or Nishan Sadi Seva, like when there's a woman at Panth, there's no like 5 things done.
Okay. That's called jumping the gun. We're going to get to that anyway. Okay, good. So there's a lack of Panthic leadership from the Panj Pyare. We don't see them apart from in Amrit Sanchars or Nishan Sahib Hanji.
There's more older people in power positions and not that much youth.
Okay, so there's not much youth involved now, leadership. There's not new blood involved. Okay? Obviously, Punjab itself is a big problem. You can just say Punjab. Yeah? That's it, big problem. Right? And then you can say Punjabis, second problem, Punjabis. No, don't be that bad. We think Punjabis have been no Sikhi. Okay. Hanji.
We're still not really rid of the caste system, so that's still in place.
The caste system still exists, yeah? Okay.
Female feticide and infanticide.
Okay, female feticide and infanticide, okay. So we've got a bunch of different problems like alcoholism, female feticide. And for me, some of the root cause of this is, do we ever get together to discuss them? Okay, you guys here, SYF, you might have your little group of friends that sit down and talk about them. Somewhere in Vancouver, somewhere there's a bunch of Gursikhs that get inside and talk about them. Somewhere in Calgary, I'm sure there's a bunch of Sikhs that sit and talk about their problems. And guess again and again what comes up. We should have, fill in the blanks, yeah? Or we should do, ... We should have, ... The question is, who is this we? Who is this we in it? We are that we in it. So like, Obama was like, we are the people we've been waiting for. Like, we are the Khalsa we've been waiting for. We keep saying the Khalsa should do this. We are that Khalsa. If we can get together and administer Amrit to other people, that means the Khalsa is still here. So the Khalsa is here, but who is that we? Okay. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to throw a few ideas out, because people are throwing problems at me. Then like in our Panth, there's always like people like me often come up to events like this, leaders let's say, yeah? And they write down, what are all your problems? They go, thanks very much, we'll come back to you 6 mahine baad, 100 saal baad, we'll come to the solutions for all these problems. A problem at the moment is actually leaders aren't actually putting ideas out there, they're too afraid to get shot down. So you put an idea out, people go, oh, it's useless, and they go, don't bother saying anything, right? So I'll give you a few ideas. You said about organisation. I think one of our major problems is we don't get together and talk. Everybody's talking in their own jathebandi. Yeah? No one's talking as a group. And I just want to remind you how the Panth used to work. I don't know if you guys are aware how it used to happen. Before 1802, 1803, that's roughly like 180 or 90 years ago, we had a system where the Panth would get together. Is it 100? Yeah, 18, 200 and something, isn't it? Yeah, 18 is 2012. 210 years ago. 210 years ago, this was the system we used to have in our Panth. From the time of Guru Gobind Singh Ji in 1699 and 1708 till 1801, when Ranjit Singh came into power, that 100-year missile period, and then Ranjit Singh got rid of this system. And the system was this: every 6 months, the Khalsa would get together and just meet. Yeah, it would be in Anandpur Sahib around about Hola Mohalla time. Yeah, Vaisakhi time. That time people used to meet together in Hola Mohalla and in Anandpur Sahib. And then when it came to Diwali time, they would all meet in Harimandir Sahib. So the famous story of why Bhai Mani Singh was made Shaheed was because they were going to celebrate Diwali in Harimandir Sahib. Yeah, that was because the Panth was going to come together then. So historically, we met every 6 months. We would meet. And when they would come together, they would actually come up with policies. So every 6 months the Panth would meet, and they wouldn't sit there doing what we do nowadays. If we all got together, first thing we say, what are the problems? Thank God, Ma's Kirpa, none of you have said to me so far, oh, our real problem is the difference is now red. Yeah? 90% of people say, what are the real problems? You know what they start saying? We haven't got a clear decision about Ragmala. You know what? We haven't got a clear decision about meat. We need a clear decision about whether case ki kakar. Luckily, no one here has raised those issues. But you know what? That is a very prevalent view amongst the people at the Amritari. Yeah? What they want is to clarify all the red problems first. Before they even get up and do anything outside, they want to solve all the red problems. But what you might call the controversies. The controversies make up about 5%, maybe 2 to 5% of everything that we ever do. That's all they're really concerned. Like, we all agree Japji Sahib, Jap Sahib, so yeah. We all agree that Panj Baniya make Amrit. We all agree roughly with like what we should do in the morning, what we should do in the evening, night time. Yeah? We all agree with what Maharaj's life and Jivan was about. So really 95% we're already agreed, yeah? And then guess what we do with our spare time? When we've got anything to do? We go and argue about that 5%. Does it sound familiar to you guys? Honda hai na? Online forums are all about this stuff, yeah? And there seems to be a lot of hate. Seems to be like Nako, Bari, Nahi, Bigana. That talk gets thrown out the window as soon as we get together. We're full of hate towards each other. Ek jathebandi against another jathebandi. Right? Now I want to ask you guys a question. Do you think that this is how the Khalsa used to be like? Always arguing about these things? Yes or no? Hands up if you think yes. That they used to argue all the time about these things. Shut up, Jonah. And hands up if you think no, the Khalsa used to actually get on with doing stuff. I'll give you an example, yeah? Vadda Kalukara, I think 60-70% of the Panth was wiped out. The women and children all wiped out. Yeah? The major fighting force survived. There are two major holocausts in the 18th century. The second one is called the Big Holocaust. In that Holocaust, the major fighting force of the Singhs survived, and all the women and children were killed because they just got left unprotected, and they got basically a tactical mistake, and the enemy got hold of all of our forces. They were not very well protected, and our vanguard got killed basically. Yeah, but the forces were still alive. Within 3 to 6 months, we gave such a big jawab. We actually went back and we destroyed the Mughal forces. We didn't wait 3 to 6 months. All it took for us to actually to come back with such a strong answer. Right? 30 years have gone past. The people that killed us, the people that did half that stuff, they're still walking around in India. Yeah? Some Bhai Jagraj Singh's done a lot of good stuff. But as a Panth, we couldn't give a jawab of that level, yeah? Right? Of what they've seen. They didn't argue about these things. From my understanding, they didn't argue about Red so much. They obviously, when they got together, sometimes they'd argue when there was peacetime. But when it was war, these things were put aside, and they just worked forward. So, firstly, the point that I'm trying to make with this is that we're not focusing upon the right things. I'm really glad the points so far that have been raised are actually focusing upon things that are very important. So what I'm going to do is give you a couple of ideas about what things. I think about these things a lot. Yeah, because FA is all I do anyway, is stick about Sikhi. And the second thing is, it's important to not just make Sikhi about like what's on theory and paper, but actually what we're going to do with it for our community. Yeah. Are there any problems other people want to throw up in the meantime, on top of what we just talked about? I'll give you a couple of ideas. Okay, if it's coming, you can interrupt me. There's no need to think this like that. So we should really, for me, Hanji. If you have to shout, I really can't hear you.
Adding on to the alcohol problem, we also have like drugs that the youth is involved in.
Okay, drugs, alcohol, substance abuse. No one else so far mentioned depression and marital problems, and even Amritali getting married problems. Yeah, there seems to be a lack of people being able to get themselves married off in our Panth. There's many little problems, right? Okay, Hanji.
There's a really prevalent lack of maternal health and infant health, and that of course leads to postpartum depression. I teach childbirth education, and it's really sad that about 40% of Apne women opt for a cesarean because of what other doctors are talking to them about, because they don't get any input from our own community of what they can do for their own health.
So,
They make more money off of that, right?
What's that?
They make more. The doctors
Absolutely,
make more money off of that.
especially in the States. Especially in the States.
so do you people feel that some of the issues that we're talking about here actually get discussed in your Gurdwara? No. No, overwhelming no. But what's the Gurdwara supposed to be then? I mean, if we're not getting together to talk about our issues in the Gurdwara, maybe we can talk about them. It's a community organisation centre as well, isn't it? It's our takht, what you might call like the Guru's throne. The Sangat should be sitting there talking about their problems. Hanji Paji at the back.
Right, just quickly, we're talking about mental well-being, but even before that, physical health well-being. Our community is probably one of the most least, I'm not going to say physically fit, but the amount of health problems that exist in our community, it's on records, and we're baffling, doctors and hospitals right now. So.
Okay, so that's like diabetes, bad dieting, yeah, heart disease, obesity, yeah, okay.
High blood pressure.
This is not by the way, this is not a traditional Punjabi disease. These are Punjabis tend to be quite healthy people. They're working outside. They used to be quite healthy, strong people. There's no way you could, if you look at the old British reports when they came to India, they're like, what are these guys eating? What are they made out of? These like massive guys, and all the women as well, very strong, healthy. I like Pagaji for that reason. If you've heard of Baba Jaswant Singh, Chardi Kara, always on his bike. Okay, so what I said earlier, the Panth used to get together and they used to actually talk about their problems. Common thing was they would talk, and then they wouldn't just talk, they would make decisions. Every 6 months they would say, right, I'll see you in 6 months. And they would have like action plans, like in the next 6 months we're going to do A, B and C. And guess what? Whoever took the responsibility, he's going to be back, or he or she's going to be back in 6 months, explain to people what happened. They got a job to do in 6 months. Accountability is a problem, isn't it? Yeah, people say, yeah, I'll do it, and you don't hear from them again. Yeah, but when you're meeting every 6 months, you have accountability. Yeah. So what I said in the UK was what we need to really, for me, one of the first steps to actually facing our problems is to actually have like a Sarbat Khalsa. So it's hard to call Sarbat Khalsa because Sarbat Khalsa means all the Khalsa, right? So maybe that the Canadian Khalsa get together or the Canadian Sikhs get together, have like a Sarbat Khalsa, and the British ones do the same and discuss their issues. Yeah. Now the problem is when you have a Sarbat Khalsa, you then need to have like you got to have people organized so they have to talk properly to each other, not just get into fights with each other. Yeah. And so what the Khalsa would do is they would get together, before they start talking about what they're going to do, they would put a leadership structure into place. That would be the Panj Pyare, right? So what would happen is they would say, right, what we need is people who are going to make the ultimate decision. Because if you got people talking but no one can make a decision, somebody can walk away and go, I can't be bothered. They get annoyed, right? And then so there's no proper conversation going on. So you need to have somebody at the front convening it basically and saying no or yes. But these 5 need to be kind of respected by everybody there. It can't be that these 5 are just self-appointed. So almost like we have to pick the 5 and make them our leaders. Yeah. Mara says Nasadivar, Kumbe Badda Jal Rahe, Jal Bin Kumbh Na Hoye. Mara says, you know the clay pot, the pot of clay, it holds the water, right? But the water was used to make the pot. You get it? Now, in a way, the Khalsa is controlled by the Panj Pyare, but the Panj Pyare is made up of the Khalsa. So the Khalsa is, that's what I was talking about. You have to control it with the thing it's already made out of. Yeah? And the Khalsa would always have Panj Pyare, when they had their big meetings, they would get together and they would say, okay, we man the decision of these 5. I'll give you a good example. The Mughal kings came, Zakaria Khan and those guys, they got fed up of killing Sikhs. And at one point he said to the Khalsa, he said, okay, you know what, give me 1 Nawab. We'll give you a Nawabi, we'll give you a Jagah to stay. We need 1 leader from your Panth. Give us 1 person who's going to be your main leader, and we'll talk to him, and he'll give you land, and you can have like a Nawabi, like an official position. And the Panth got together, and they decided upon Nawab Kapoor Singh. That's why he's called Nawab Kapoor Singh. He got a job, he's got an official title from the Mughal court to be Nawab. Now Kapoor Singh is a very Chardikala Gursikh. He liked to do a seva of the horses. You know, he was at that time doing Chor Sahib when they picked him. And he said, I will not take the Nawabi from the Mughal kingdom. He goes, they don't have any right upon me. I'll take the Nawabi from the Panj Pyare. Yeah. So we have the names of the Panj Pyare that were the Panj Pyare at that time, who took the Nawabi from the Mughal kingdom, and it was placed at their feet, and then Kapoor Singh was given it from them. And that was, one of them was Baba Deep Singh Ji, one of the Panj Pyare. Ranjit Singh's great grandfather was one of them as well. Many famous Gursikhs, yeah, 5 of them. So there were Panj Pyare around. Banda Singh Bahadur, when he left from Nanded, Guru Gobind Singh gave him Panj Pyare as well. He was put in charge of a mission, but he had Panj Pyare there to guide him with Gurmat and make the ultimate decision. So they could tell him off as well. So many times you might get someone who gets a project, but you have somebody above him who's their leader to say nay or yes. Yeah. So what I was proposing is we bring that back. Everybody talks about it. I just got lucky because I got a chance to speak in front of 10,000 people. And Central London, I just said, put it out there. Why don't we do this finally, our system? So let's discuss how that might work. Firstly, every 6 months we'd have to meet. Yeah? Regardless of your discipline, allegiance, you'd all get together, meet every 6 months. Now the next thing everybody's hoping to think is, how do we pick the Panj Pyare? That seems like a hard thing to you. How we're going to get together, we're going to pick Panj Pyare. Because the thing is, you can't decide on what to do unless you have like Panj Pyare already in place. Because otherwise you're not going to get any agreement. So the way to get the agreement. Now even before the Panj Pyare are made, we need to agree the criteria for the Panj Pyare. So imagine like you had 3 steps. We're going to do stuff. Before we do stuff, we've got to agree how to agree. Before we agree on how to agree on the Panj Pyare, we then need to agree upon what the Panj Pyare are going to be made out of. Okay? Very complicated system, isn't it? Why is it so complicated? Why does it sound so far-fetched? 210 years of it not being there. That's a simple reason. We've forgotten how it works. You see, if you those people that read Bani, You try doing a part for like 40 days, 6 months, you become very fluent in it. Don't touch it for a year or two, फिर देखो, you'll be struggling. कल सवेरे I was struggling to do Shabazari Pasha Dasvi. Why? Because forgot to do it for a long time. Same thing. We haven't done this for 200 and odd years, yeah? So we're going to have to be very patient. If we're going to start this up again, we're going to have to be very patient and very determined. Both patient and determined at the same time. That we are going to do it, we have to do it slowly. Now imagine the Panj Pyare got together. So we said the criteria, let's say the criteria. Can somebody throw me criteria what they think the Panj Pyare might have? Just give me your ideas. If you were going to have Panj Pyare you would believe in, what criteria would they need to have? Hanji.
2 o'clock every day.
2 o'clock every day. Chardi kara. Hanji Paji. Hanji. Just write them down so we can have like ideas for criteria. So what you're saying is pakka amrit vela effectively, yeah? Hanji.
Chosen by Sangat.
Chosen by Sangat, Hanji. Can be from any Jati Bandi, any caste, without any bias, yeah? Without bias. Okay, chosen. Hanji. Paji. Really strong physically? All of them got to be physically strong. Mentally and physically. Okay, so yeah, that's a good point. So I think the bravery's got to be there. You've got to have the Panj Pyare. The Panj Pyare cannot be the wilting flowers, the shy guys in the corners, yeah? It doesn't mean that they're the loudest people, but I think they have to be brave. They stand by what they say, you know? That bachan undaban wale hon. Yeah? Hanji.
Have different skill sets.
Okay, good, different skill sets. If they're all the same kind of person, that's no good as well. Because you dekho ungli dekh lo. 5 fingers in the hand, they're all different, innit? Some people say that's a thumb, that's 4 fingers, yeah. But anyway. Benji said different skill sets. It should be so maybe somebody's very good at strategy, another person's very good at like itihas. You know what I mean? They know history. Hanji.
Have at least their 7 daily bani kant.
Okay, 7 daily bani kant. Yeah, good. Definitely, I agree with that one.
You have to be males, right? Because like at the Super there was a Super one where they got like 2 women.
Okay. Just all right. I'll address that. Controversy. He sings very right. Okay, I think at the moment, practically for it to work, there'd have to be men at the moment. Personally, I have no issue with having women inside the Panj Pyare. That's a personal thing. But I think that given the size of our Panth and the current mentality, it's probably likely that they would have to have Panj Pyare that are all male. Otherwise, you'd have that becoming a big controversy. Rather than getting on with anything, you'd have people arguing about that specific fact. Yeah. But remember, behind every successful Singh, there's probably more successful core. Yeah. So hopefully the women element will still be there. But remember, the Sangat gets to choose all of this. Yeah, it's not like women are all part of the Sangat. Okay, but okay, fair enough. But let's put that for aside for a second. Let's think about other things. Avoid. Hanji. Pakki Rahat. We already got that. So Amrit Vela, but yeah, Pakki Rahat as well. Yeah. Okay. No one said like they should know. Okay, Bani Kant is one thing, but they should really have a certain amount of itihas as well. They should know a certain amount of our history, names of 10 gurus. No, joke. They should know 2 things, yeah? More Baniya than just a Panj Baniya. And they should really, for me, have like history as well. Certain amount. They don't have to be like perfect, Suraj Prakash Kant, that kind of thing. But they should have a level of history and a level of our philosophy. ठीक है ना? हाँ जी. Nimrita. Wow. So I was talking to Nihang Singh about this. He goes, you know what? The main criteria for him was the 5 qualities: Sat, Santok, Daya, Taram, and Khima. Yeah, truth, contentment, compassion, righteousness, justice, and then forgiveness. But they haven't got these 5 because what are we going to do with them? Because these are the 5 things that we always talk about. He blesses these 5 qualities. So your Nimrita obviously is part within that. So Khima, these things are very important for us in our Panth because you got people that can't cope with talking to each other and they're very ahankari. Mithi bolni, hanji. But still able to be like khani tikhi, got to be sur mein, but yeah, mithi bol, hanji. Hanji. Yeah, humanitarians, they should have compassion inside their heart. They want to do stuff, involved in seva. Hanji.
think a range in age would be a requirement, and I
Yeah.
think something where this is where, you know, where you draw that line on how young someone can be and have those qualities, because there is an innocence or a certain fearlessness, or, you know, I'd say purity around youth or kids that will be less jaded and bring forth a different kind of energy. So, and that's an example in our
Yeah, in our history we've had young gurus as well. A lot of gurus are very young when they became the guru. So yeah, different age ranges will be good as well. So you have that kind of wisdom along with the fearlessness and the kind of innocence that you're talking about. I agree with that. Also, you'd have to put it in there. They can't all be of the same caste. Regardless of whether they're all the best people that are all the same caste, you just have to go of different castes. Yeah? So they have to be a different caste. And I think different ages is good. They can't all be like in the 80s, because that it would be imbalanced. Yeah? So you have to have a balance in certain things as well. Hanji. But they have to be well known? No? They have to be respected by the Sangat.
I mean, no one should be able to point a finger.
Okay, good point. So they should, no one should be able to point a finger at them. But also in a way, the Sangat has to man them. So then it's awkward as well. Like, they have to be involved in the community. If they're really gupt, like no one even knows this person exists, they just turn up. Hanji, push lo koi bhi sawal nahi ask me anything. I spent the last 15 years just studying party and taking part. They may, you know, through this criteria of testing the Panj Pyare, we might decide that somebody we never know, we're like, wow, this guy's really good, he's got on the mark, you know. But really, more likely that they'll be a bit known as well in the community. Even as in a little circle, they have to be known a little bit in their community, be involved, and actually in their local Gurdwara, if it's not the Gurdwara, in their local Sangat, and trying to do something good for the community. If these people are just detached from the community, then we have to question whether they're going to be able to be that good for us, because are they going to be really caring about doing something? I'm sure you agree, there are people in our community that are like, I'm doing my part, I'm not bothered. Yeah? There are people that are just totally like, I'm alright, Jack, kind of thing, yeah? Because they're just too busy in themselves, they're concerned. It's a bit like the yogis now that go up the mountains. Nowadays they become this way as well. We've become, in our houses, we don't really engage that much because it seems too hard work sometimes. Hanji, sing.
Like, I guess along the lines of diversity in terms of caste, but also in West terms, like class.
Class, yeah, okay,
class, geographically as well, possibly.
Okay, geographically maybe that's going to be harder, because then, you know, but certainly culture in terms of their backgrounds. And you may say like they can't be too rich, you know, they need to understand the Greeb Banda, you know, in a way, because we're all about the Nicha under Nijat, Nichi Huat Nicha, na? So we're all about being able to identify with the lowest of the low. So if we have people that are extremely rich, then it's going to be harder as well. Like the current politicians in the UK, they primarily are quite rich, and then the people say, well, you're not going to be able to understand like the poor guy's problems, you know, and that's true, because they just, you know. Hanji, Paji.
Well, that's what it comes to as well. It can't be someone that's involved in any type of political party or a committee member, because that's where you have people coming in with their influences as well, or their agendas.
Okay, so they may have to be divorced from politics. They may not be divorced from it right now, but you may say that if you become one of the Panj Pyare, you're going to have to leave all your other positions within Gurdwara politics or within any. There's too much of a conflict of interest, maybe. Yeah, okay, fair enough. I mean, is anybody, the stuff we're talking about, do most of you guys agree with the stuff that's coming out now? Okay. See, this is good, isn't it? Look, we're all kind of different people here, different ages, not necessarily too much of a difference in ages, but still, we're from maybe different backgrounds, different thought mentalities. And here we're quite happy to agree with a certain set of criteria. And this criteria, can you read it out again, Panji, Safan? Have you got them all written down? Wasn't that hard, was it? Tikana? And now, can all of you, I'm going to ask it personally, right? Just close your eyes for a second. Can all of you think of one person who you personally would nominate with those qualities? Just one. I'm not asking for 5. All of you just think. Put you in a minute, I'm going to just have a second to think about it a bit more. Benji's gone through it again. One person we feel would fit that criteria right now, and we'd be happy for them being in the Panj Pyare. Just one. If put your hand up if you can think of one person. So that's the majority of the room now. Now the chances probably are that most of you aren't thinking about the same person. Yeah? That it's probably not all the same person. So that's like at least 3 or 4 people now, or probably even more than 5, I'd say, that you're all thinking about, different 5 people, yeah? So that's charity kara, isn't it, already? So it's not like we're not lost in it, the Khalsa is not lost. Yeah, we could get a group of people, we could put these 5 forward, then all we have to do, once you've got these names in the box, so what happens is that we've got the criteria agreed, and then hey, I'm just suggesting this, isn't that the way it would work? I just think this how it would work for me. You just throw the names, everybody gets to write down that person that they think, or 2 people or 3 people they think actually fit that criteria, and it goes into a box, right? Then that box comes to the front, and then the names get read out. And then what we do then is we go through like maybe 2 rounds of selections. First round is, do these people fit the criteria? Does a Sangat accept these people fit the criteria? So you get X person stands up, somebody who sponsored him. Could it be somebody didn't like him too much, right? Just put his name forward, or whatever. But he stands up, he or she, and then you go through like, okay, does this person fit the criteria or not? And you decide yes or no, they do. So they go forward to round 2. You understand? That sounds a bit weird, right? But we do need to do it because we can't leave the room. By the way, we would have to commit to the process first. Whoever comes into that process would have to commit that we're not leaving this room until we decide upon the Panj Pyare. So whoever turns up to the Sarbat Khalsa meet has to agree first upon the criteria, and then has to agree upon finding 5 people. We have to do the best we can at the moment in time. We can't sit around waiting for the ideal Khalsa that we think are going to turn up. We have to do with what we have. ठीक है ना? What we've been given, we've got to do with that. Apan hati apna ape hi Khalsa. Whatever's in our hands, we have to do the best with that. Apna Khalsa vana udhe on. ठीक है ना? So people would then have to step up and say, okay, first round, 15 people got nominated. We cut it down to a short list of 8 people. ठीक है ना? Right, and then the 8 people, what happens is, and you can go around the Sangat maybe, I'm just giving you ideas, you could choose something else. You go around the Sangat and say, right, how many people for this person? Right, and hands go up, like so 50% hands go up. How many for this person? 70% hands go up. And then you go through, and if you say, right, these are the ones that got the most votes from the Sangat. Right? So then they get chosen to the Panj. Sangat, the ones that Sangat accept the most, we agree already fit the criteria, they fit. Now what you would have to do is these Panj Pyare, right, would then have to do an ardas straight away, right, because you've got to bring Gurmat right at the front. Do an ardas, maybe do ardas before the whole process starts. Kirpa karo that we do this with pyar and nimrata, right? And then the next thing you might do is you do a process where you say, right, now the Panj Pyare do an ardas, that they will take on this seva to the best of their abilities. ठीक है ना? And you'd have some kind of system what the Panj Pyare have to do. You know, you like how long they have to stay in power for, when can they leave? They can't all leave the same time. ठीक है ना? I know in a minute you're going to start throwing things at me about like, oh, what if this went wrong? What if that went wrong? Wait for a second. I'm trying to make it look a bit real first. Then we can debate it. ठीक है ना? Now you got the 5. You've done the ardas. What happens next? Panji, read out the list of problems. Come over here. You need your back against the wall. Here. Now Panj is going to leave. Now the Sangha will step up and say, right, these are our problems. Now let's have a debate about what we can do about these problems.
So some of the problems are lack of unity, drugs and alcohol, transparency in the Gurdwaras, so the structure of the committees, financial and political corruption, male focus orientated leadership. Image of Khalsa is pretty down, like we know exactly what they're supposed to look like, but the rahat isn't there. Lack of prachar, unorganized, and there's also a lack of leaders. Lack of Panthic leadership is not there from the Panj Pyare, other than the fact that they're doing Amrit Sanchais. Lack of youth leadership, caste system still exists, female infanticide still exists, depression, marital problems, there's health issues, and physical health issues.
Okay.